2021. And Merry Christmas, by the way. Before you head on to your winter break, we wanted to have a chance to show you and tell you what we've been able to do with your generous donation and what you have received along with your ATG certificate. The running theme of this call that you will notice is gratitude. We are all incredibly grateful for not just for your donation, but also for your engagement, your constant engagement that keeps us on our toes and tells us which direction we should steer ourselves in. And just for the fact that you care. A side theme that you will notice as this presentation goes on is pride. I think we are a group of young, very motivated individuals who have come to be very proud of what we're doing here at IFF. And it's going to shine through, I'm telling you now. 2021 has been a long year, longer than most. I feel like every one of those 365 days has felt like a year in itself. It has seen many challenges. Many of our staff, myself included, had to take up to 2, maybe 3 weeks off to take care of our health and those of our families. We've recovered, we've restarted the engines, and we haven't looked back. There's so many new faces at IFF. We've grown from strength to strength. Our staff count is higher than it has ever been. You know what? You should see if you can count them all in the next 1 hour, the new guys. The various teams at this call, I'll just tell you how we're going to run this. The various teams will go one by one. They will tell you their objectives, their achievements, and their plans for the next year. IFF has moved into a new office, by the way, that we are still setting up. It's in CR Park, South Delhi, and you're all invited for a cup of coffee anytime. We've started making great coffee, by the way. Amidst all these changes, there's one thing that is constant, and that is our values. We believe firmly in the Constitution, in its preambular values, and in the fundamental rights that it has given to us. For the Dave Mustaine fan among the audience, I'm sure there's at least one. I want to say it's still we, the people, right? So I'll move on to the litigation team first. It is our biggest team still. The litigation team consists of myself. I'm the litigation counsel. There's Krishnesh, my colleague, and Anandita, who are associate litigation counsels at the team. There's Vrinda Bhandari and Abhinav Sekri, who are off counsels. And Sanjana is a legal fellow who is currently pursuing her master's from Columbia in New York. And she helps us out with our clinical litigation that Anandita will talk about a little bit later. So Abhinav, unfortunately, is not here with us because it is still, technically speaking, court time, and he is a dedicated and motivated lawyer. He is in court actually right now, which is why he can't join us. And I express regrets on his behalf. He asked me to tell all of you folks that he's very grateful for your time, your money, and all of the efforts that you put into making sure that IFF is a successful organization. I just want to tell you guys a little bit about Abhinav because he's not here to do it. He is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to criminal law and when it comes to prosecutorial ethics. He has been a huge help to IFF in steering some of our litigations and activities when it comes to the response to facial recognition technology, when it comes to the response to police surveillance systems. For example, you may have heard, you may remember that approximately 1 month ago, we had sent a legal notice to the Hyderabad police because they were stopping people on the streets, checking their phones for keywords. Such as weed, ganja, and stuff. And he had led most of the response to that. I will now hand over the mic to Vrinda Bhandari, who is really the leader among us we all look up to tell you guys more about the strategic litigation vertical. Vrinda, all yours.
Thank you so much, Tanmay. And hi, welcome everyone. It's really great to see all of you. As Tanmay said, IFF has really grown from strength to strength. And I mean, it's really exciting for me personally, because I remember when it was literally a 3-person outfit when I first started working with Apart. And, you know, we had 1 person in the litigation team. So to see the team grow so big is something like I also feel really proud of. And it honestly is thanks to all your support. And we hope to continue growing because, as you would realize, digital rights is just an issue that is more and more pressing. It's something that we are going to see many more challenges in the times to come. And I do think that what we do here is really important, both for advancing constitutional rights and personal and civil liberties. It is one part of my practice that I actually enjoy the most, in terms of what I do. And it's really exciting litigation as well. So just to give you, some idea of the kinds of strategic litigation that we have done over the last year. And as you'll see on your slides here, I'll talk about 3 and then I'll just mention 2 more. So one of the big challenges we did was Pegasus. So we represented 5 journalists whose phones were allegedly infected by Pegasus before the Supreme Court in writ proceedings. And I think it's a real testament to IFF that we were able to gain the trust of journalists who were actually, who actually suffered because of Pegasus, and we were able to represent their case. It was a massive proceeding. We had to engage multiple senior counsels, explain the technology to them, and it's one of those things where I feel is IFF's strength in breaking down technological concepts into simple legal concepts so that we can explain these to courts of law. We actually got more success than I would have imagined, and I think the Supreme Court's order is pretty path-breaking to the extent that it does recognize that you can't just cite national security as a reason and ignore everything else. We also submitted 2 affidavits before the West Bengal Commission of Inquiry, and Apar, who you will hear speak, was actually invited to make oral submissions. So we have been trying to deal with Pegasus, both from the litigation front. The policy team has also done work. People have written editorials as well. The second is a writ petition that we filed on behalf of Apar, who very generously agreed to file RTIs for us 3 years ago in 2018. This is, if you remember, when the government notification had come out designating certain law enforcement agencies as the authorized agencies under the Interception Act, under the Interception rules, under the IT Act. And we believe that after Puttaswamy, it's important to know just a simple question, how many surveillance orders were passed by the central government between 2016 to 18, right? We just wanted aggregate information. It's been 3 years. We have gone, we've had our RTIs rejected, gone to the First Appellate Authority, gone to the CIC. The CIC sent us back. We went back to the CIC. We've gone to the High Court. We are now before the CIC for the 3rd time. We do believe that it's a matter of immense transparency. I mean, all of us talk about surveillance, but if the government is not even willing to give us information about the aggregate number of surveillance requests, it does really lead to problems. So I also thank Apar for actually agreeing to be a petitioner in a matter like this. The third is our challenge to the intermediary rules, both that affect intermediary liability and user rights, and also from the perspective of digital news agencies and their rights. And we filed writ petitions both in Kerala High Court and in the Madras High Court. And in the Madras High Court, we actually secured an interim order, which declared that any action on social media may be subject to final decision on the matter. And we got actually a stay order as well. So that was, we represented, and we were, again, I think it's a testament to IFF's growth and honestly the leadership of Apar that we've seen that we were lucky to have petitioners who trusted us. So in Kerala, we represented Live Law, who, if anybody follows anything on law, you can't do it without following Live Law. And in Madras High Court, we represented TM Krishna. So that was a great privilege for us. Apart from this, we were also active for a bit during COVID. And so we did some litigation around the CoWIN portal in the Delhi High Court. We helped the amicus making certain submissions. We've also done some litigation around Section 66A and the continued misuse of Section 66A. Apart from that, we've done a lot of strategic litigation, and Krishnesh, who I'm really happy to note has now joined IFF officially. So we've had the pleasure of working with him for 1 year when he was a legal fellow, and it's been really amazing to see his transition and to actually join the IFF team. So very excited to welcome Krishnesh, and he'll be taking you through some of the strategic litigation that we've done over the last year.
Thank you so much, Vrinda. This has been an incredible year. For me, I joined IFF as a CCG digital fellow, and now I have transitioned into a full-time role. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from Apar, Tanmay, Vrinda. All 3 of them are here. Abhinav isn't here, but it's been an incredible learning experience as a lawyer. But I'm extremely proud of the kind of work we've been doing here and the kind of work we plan to do ahead. Vrinda has covered 3 parts of the strategic, three different cases which we did as a part of the strategic litigation vertical. I'll cover 3 others. You can see them on the screen. The first is actually a copyright proceeding from the Delhi High Court, and this is a new frontier for us. I think everyone knows about LibGen and Sci-Hub. These are websites which perform an extremely important role of providing access to free information to the public, especially information in the form of academic material, which is extremely expensive. This material is provided to researchers across the country. It's made available to them. Now, 4 publishing houses have filed copyright infringement suit against Sci-Hub and LibGen before the Delhi High Court. They've asked the court to take down these websites. We were approached by 7 social science researchers who were concerned by the institution of these proceedings. They were concerned that these proceedings will lead to a situation where they don't have access to academic research or academic material. We have filed an intervention application on their behalf, which has been accepted in the Delhi High Court. A notice has been issued, and these proceedings will go on. But we are glad to assist the court in this proceeding. In these proceedings, we want to put the point. We want to put across the point of the social science researchers that these websites are extremely important, and they shouldn't be just taken down. These proceedings will keep on going over the next year, and we'll update you in the next members call. The second proceeding, which you can see on your screen, is CCI's investigation of WhatsApp. I'm sure all of you have followed our work related to the Karmana Singh Sareen proceedings in the Supreme Court, which relate to the constitutionality of WhatsApp's privacy policy. In those proceedings, we have argued that WhatsApp's privacy policy violates the right to privacy and should not be allowed. But what's happening before CCI is slightly different. WhatsApp's privacy policy is not only a fundamental rights concern, but it is also an issue which affects competition. Because of the privacy policy, WhatsApp is able to collect a large amount of data, which results in, one, excluding a lot of other players from the market, and two, affecting the rights of consumers. We raised these issues before the Competition Commission of India, and I'm glad to inform all of you that CCI has accepted the information and has tagged it with the main matter. The Director General at the CCI will continue to investigate WhatsApp's privacy policy, and we look forward to making submissions before them. Now, the third update from my end is extremely important. This is something which we worked on extensively through this year. We haven't made it public otherwise, and we are informing this to you exclusively. This is our challenge to the sedition provision in the Indian Penal Code, which is section 124A. This is a provision which I'm sure all of you know has colonial history to it. It has been used by several governments, one after the other, to suppress speech. And this is a provision which we don't think complies with Part 3 of the Constitution. We have filed a proceeding on behalf of the Journalist Union of Assam, who approached us, who were extremely worried about how this provision is constantly used. And we have filed it before the Supreme Court. A hearing before the court is yet to take place. It will take place extremely soon, and we'll update all of you through our website. So these are the three updates from my end. I'm extremely excited to work on all these three cases and the ones which Vrinda mentioned over the course of next year. I would like to hand the mic back to Tanmay to continue.
Thanks a lot, Krishnesh. That sounds really exciting. By the way, Vrinda, I actually wanted to have the pleasure of announcing Krishnesh's full staff status to the members, but truly, who better than you to do that? However, I still have the honor of introducing our newest member to the litigation team. At the last quarterly members call, I had sort of hinted towards how we are expanding the litigation team. Well, we've hired Anandita Mishra, who has joined us as an associate litigation counsel at IFF. She is doing a lot of work to take IFF in a completely new direction, which we hadn't done before. IFF, as you know, and as you can see on screen, has been engaged in strategic litigation for several years. We have increasingly started also getting into clinical litigation to try and protect and enhance press freedoms, freedom of speech and expression, and the right to information in India. For that, what we have done is we have established the Digital Patrakar Defense Clinic, which aims to and has begun to provide clinical legal advice to journalists in India. I want to invite Anandita, who is going to tell you a little bit more about this project. Anandita?
Hi, everybody. So this is my first members call. And like Tanmay said, I just joined 3.5 months ago. And for me, it's been an amazing experience being here. It's, I think, helped me become part of long-lasting change and impact in digital rights. And it's been great. Apart from that, like Tanmay suggested already, we have set up a new clinic since September. It's called the Digital Patrakar Defense Clinic. The aim of the clinic is to provide legal aid and assistance pro bono to journalists, bloggers, cartoonists, etc., who are reporting current affair events. So the clinic is conducted in a manner that we conduct clinic with journalists one-on-one every weekend, sometimes on Saturday and sometimes on Sunday, where they can discuss all their legal issues. And especially, we offer support with respect to providing them with direct legal representation with any second opinions, with any pre-publication guidance they may need before publishing a story, by referring them to a network of lawyers if they are based out of Delhi, and providing a technical expertise in the digital space. Till now, we have hosted, I know the slide says 12, but I think we've reached 15 now. We've hosted 15 clinics, and we've been able to support around 20 journalists till now. And we hope to keep taking this forward and help journalists the most we can. Yeah, back to you, Tanmay.
Thanks a lot, Anandita. That sounds great. That was the litigation team. That's what we've done in 2021. We intend to do a lot more in 2022. As I always apologize on these members' calls, we are a little bit tight-lipped, a little bit close to the chest about litigation that we are about to bring on the specifics. But I can tell you that some of the areas that we will be targeting will be more press freedom, more content regulation, more website blocking, more internet shutdowns. All of that work is coming. I want to go over now to our policy team, which contains some of the brightest minds of the country. I'm constantly amazed at how Rohin and Anushka can be so young and yet so advanced in their understanding of very complex and technical issues of privacy, surveillance, and transparency. So Anushka, I think, will go first. She really, truly is India's thought leader on surveillance systems, in particular facial recognition technology. Rohin will go over after her. He also is truly India's thought leader on privacy and data protection. So Anushka, please go right ahead.
Thank you so much, Tanmay, for being so nice. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our members call today. I'm Anushka Jain, and I work as the Associate Counsel for Surveillance and Transparency at IFF. Under IFF's surveillance vertical, we have Project Panoptic. I'm sure everybody has heard about Project Panoptic. At least I'm hoping the people who are on this call today have heard about Project Panoptic, and we just completed 1 year of Project Panoptic, so I'm very excited. Project Panoptic is our FRT systems tracker, the first of its kind in India. Under the project, in the last quarter, we have filed 35 RTI requests and analyzed the responses that we've received, such as the reply wherein the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare confirmed the use of FRT for verification of beneficiaries of the COVID-19 vaccine, but failed to provide any guidelines or recipe that clearly delineates the technical and implementation details of facial recognition technology for the COVID-19 vaccine verification. In the last quarter, we also launched the Ban the Scan campaign with Amnesty International and Article 19, which targets the increasing use of surveillance technology in Hyderabad. Under the project, we mapped several locations, the CCTV cameras in several locations. And based on this analysis, we were able to estimate that a remarkable total of 53.7% and 62.7% of the entire area in 2 localities of Hyderabad was covered by CCTV cameras. In the last quarter, we also launched the new Panoptic Talk series. One of the reasons we launched Project Panoptic was that there was very little conversation around how harmful this technology is and how much it is being used across the country. We wanted to raise awareness around this issue, and through our project, inform people about the secretive nature of the deployment of this surveillance technology. With the launch of the Panoptic Talk series, we aim to take this effort forward by calling experts from India and abroad to discuss the intricacies of the ethical, legal, and technical ramifications of this technology to ensure that IFF's community and the larger audience can benefit from the experience from those who work tirelessly on this issue. And I'm very happy to announce that the next Panoptic Talk event is going to be held next Saturday. In order to raise awareness, we also wrote extensively about surveillance reform in various reputed publications such as The Hindu, Indian Express, Times of India, and Forbes. In addition to this, we continued our efforts against increasing proliferation of facial recognition by sending a legal notice to the government of Meghalaya on the use of facial recognition for verification of pensioners' identities. Under the wider surveillance vertical, our main focus was on the Pegasus revelations. Our response to the Pegasus revelations, in addition to what the litigation team has already covered, included an initial statement, a letter to the Standing Committee on IT, letters to the state governments of Chhattisgarh and Maharashtra, a line-by-line verification of the IT minister's statement on the Pegasus hacks in Parliament, submissions to the Commission of Inquiry set up by the government of West Bengal, a statement on the committee of experts appointed by the Supreme Court, and an in-depth look at the progress made by other countries in investigating the Pegasus revelations. Similar to the targeted surveillance of Pegasus was the surveillance of the Bhima Koregaon 16 and the lawyers, which was discussed in the Arsenal reports. We've also published a short explainer on the Arsenal reports containing the crux of the 3 reports that were included in them. Lastly, we also focused on the growing CCTV architecture in the national capital, and we hope to continue doing that. But for the national capital, we wrote to the CM and the governor of Delhi, telling them how important it is to understand that surveillance is not equal to security, and it's very important that the extreme rate at which surveillance is going in Delhi should be stopped. That's a short summary of our work over the last quarter, but we did so much more than this. And I urge all of you to go to our website or even our social media to see everything that we've been up to. Again, thank you for joining us today, and back to you, Tanmay.
Thanks very much, Anushka. I actually don't have a lot to say in between the 2 policy people. I'm going to give it right back to Rohin. Rohin?
Thanks, Tanmay. So I think like all quarters, this quarter has also been very action-packed. And as, for example, discussions about the PDBB hot up, this will continue. So we're glad for support there. So I think our work here can be categorized in 6 main buckets. First one is, of course, privacy and the Personal Data Protection Bill. We all were waiting with bated breath for the JPC to finally release the report. There was media reports about the report being leaked and being adopted. And then we found out that, okay, they've asked for another extension for the last week of the winter session. Now, our earnest hope is, of course, that the JPC finally releases their report on the bill. We are obviously at the ready with our analysis and our explanations for that. But of course, it's up in the air, and it is possible that the JPC's report is delayed further. But I think if it comes out, we are very well ready. We are well equipped to deal with it, and we're also eagerly waiting the report. Over the last quarter, there have been about 3 to 4 consultations ranging on topics from the draft e-commerce rules, the unified health interface, to the draft rules on Aadhaar authentication services, and the recently proposed digital address code. Towards the end of the year, there's been another flurry of consultations. So we have 4 major consultations coming up. One, of course, involves the health data retention policy of the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Another one is the report of the RBI's working group on digital lending. Another is the Niti Aayog's report on digital banks. And lastly, the TRA has also released a consultation paper on the ease of doing business in the telecom sector. And so these are the sort of consultations on our plate for the next month or so. In digital governance and regulatory frameworks, I think where we made most progress is somewhere on cybersecurity. So CERT-In, which is the Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, recently notified their voluntary disclosure policy. And as we pointed out to them, their voluntary disclosure policy, in a certain sense, penalizes voluntary disclosures, which because one of the clauses says that any disclosures are still, anyone making disclosures will still be liable to any action that may occur under, for example, section 43 of the IT Act. They actually responded to us. So as indicated by my colleagues, we are sort of able to engage with government and government bodies further, and they are also responding back to us. And so in the response, they told us that we as an executive body can't make that decision. And to which our response was, yes, we agree with you. And so in lieu of that, we wrote to MIT saying that, okay, your own body is saying they can't make the executive decision providing safe harbors for cybersecurity researchers. So it's up to you now. We will be tracking that, and hopefully MIT will listen to us there. Net neutrality has also seen a lot of action. So you may remember that one of the standing committee reports of the parliament had the proposal to ban VPNs in India. And of course, we reached out to the government. We wrote to the standing committee saying, why this is not a good idea. We wrote op-eds, and I think we were able to, at least disabuse a lot of people of the notion that, VPNs are something that, only creepy people on the internet use or the terrorists use. But instead, no, it's a tool that's used by millions of Indians and businesses every day to secure their networks. And I think that was a very good step from our side. On internet access, we finally came out with the connectivity tracker. So for those of you who are really interested in the state of internet access in India, you might notice that a lot of the data is in disparate reports. So the TRAI itself puts out 2 reports, one on telecom, one on internet. And our aim with this connectivity tracker is to have one consolidated report so that there's one place to see the long-term trends in internet connectivity. Is internet rural areas expanding? Are urban users disproportionately favored? What's the average cost for of say 1 GB data? And as we go further and as we go this report further, hopefully we'll include other things such as how many internet shutdowns have occurred in the last quarter? What has the impact been? Have orders been released? That sort of stuff. And so lastly, we come to social welfare and emerging data paradigms, and that's another big field. So you may remember, I think one quarter ago, I'd spoken about the AgriStack consultation that we were part of. What we found out through RTIs is that a couple of submissions on that consultation, including ours, were not received at all by the ministry. And so when we've written to them saying, in this process, you didn't speak to farmers. Now you're not even listening to all the consultations that have come in. And so for that, we wrote a joint letter with the All India Kisan Sabha, and we're hoping for a response. We filed fresh RTIs to see whether they finally accepted our submissions, but that's going on. Health and education, of course, have also seen new paradigms being pushed. So in education, there was the India framework, which has been released, which is this big push towards digital education. On that, we put out an explainer sort of detailing what are the key causes for concern and where the government may perhaps need to reflect a bit more. In health, of course, we have the upcoming health data retention policy. We've also had, as you may have seen in the news, the government finally admitting that a lot of people, even though it was notionally voluntary, Aadhaar is being used to create health IDs. And so that is another thing we've tracked and we'll continue to track in the future. And I think it's just the digitalization is spreading really, really quickly in the country, and I'm not sure if the government is able to sort of keep up well and implement that while also looking at, say, human rights concerns or even that of constitutional concerns. So we'll be tracking this area for the next quarter and beyond. Back to you, Tanmay.
Thanks a lot, Rohin. Thanks a lot, Anushka, as well, for the work you guys do. I always tell everybody that the policy team at IFF is the locomotive, it's the tank, it's the first line of defense against any threat to India's digital rights. But more importantly, thanks for sticking to your time. We're punctual, this is going well. Before I give it over to the civic literacy and communications team, I want to say that public advocacy is a truly, truly important facet. Civic literacy is a truly important facet of anything that we are doing at IFF. It is very, very important to us that we don't just keep fighting in the courts, that we don't just keep writing to MPs, that we don't just keep fighting before regulatory bodies. It is very important to us to change minds, change hearts, and change the ideas of the Indian people who follow us on social media and who are interested in digital rights, or who are not interested in digital rights, but may be one day. And so for that, it is really the communications, outreach, and digital literacy team that I personally believe is amongst the best in India doing what they're doing. So I'm going to give it over to Archismita. It is interestingly, it is a team in transition, which you would not have known if I had not just said it out loud right now. It is Archismita's last day, so it is kind of a farewell call. And taking over from Archismita will be Ashlesh, which is exactly, I believe, how they've structured their presentation. Archismita, is that correct? Let me know.
Yes. Yeah. So the civic literacy and communications vertical at IFF tries to make digital rights more accessible to the IFF audience, the audience that follows us, and the audience that may one day follow us through memes, explainers, and infographics. We do this in collaboration with IFF's legal and policy teams to simplify the litigation and policy interventions that our larger team takes on. And we have currently around 66K followers on both Instagram and Twitter. And we've been successful in growing our audience in other areas as well, like LinkedIn, where we had a growth of almost like 60% from the last time. Yeah, some of the things we've been able to achieve since the last members call were firstly a Twitter storm on Pegasus, where we partnered with our allies and volunteers and supporters to kind of call for an investigation into the Pegasus revelations before the judicial process around it even began. We've also introduced a video conversation series called Dialogue with IFF, where we aim to get people in the digital rights space come and talk to us about vital issues. Our first guest, you must have, if you've seen, the conversation was with Sophie Zhang. If you haven't, it's on YouTube and there's a snippet on Instagram. So yeah, we encourage you to go watch that. There was also a series that was introduced on internet shutdowns, like an important part of the digital rights issues in India, considering that India is unofficially called the internet shutdown capital of the world. So we try to make it a little more accessible about like, okay, what is an internet shutdown? What are the laws behind it, etc., in partnership with our legal team. And of course, Tanmay has told you about Ashlesh, who has come on as our digital literacy fellow. He is interested in open access and civic literacy, and he's been a great addition to the team. He'll be taking the work of the communications vertical forward, and he's done a lot of exciting good work at IFF. Ashlesh, I am handing it over to you. Yeah.
Hi. Thank you, Arjasmita. Good evening, folks. As you already know, I am Ashlesh, currently a digital literacy fellow at IFF. I started as an intern in September, and now I work full-time as a fellow. I've had an amazing time over the last 3 months. In these bleak times, working at IFF, watching the staff, interacting with the IFF's community gives me hope. Let's walk you through what else we've accomplished this quarter. We launched a Telegram community. Now audiences can get critical updates about digital rights, weekly roundups, amazing infographics, and daily news capsules right in their inboxes. We'll be stepping up the infographics and visual explainers game, using them to break down complex tech jargon. Besides that, if you follow us on Instagram, you must have noticed that we've developed a new design language. In the upcoming months, we intend to fine-tune the designs across platforms, building consistency in terms of visual identity and quality. In the future, we intend to double down on digital literacy materials that we produce, making them as appealing, simple, and accessible as possible, alongside exploring new mediums and collaborations. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ashlesh. And thank you so much, Arjasmita. I understand that tomorrow you're going to be upgraded from being an IFF staff to being an IFF fan, which is always important. We need them. Thank you so much for your time here. And we're very excited, Ashlesh, to see what you bring to the table. I am now going to give it to the fundraising team. And I often joke with them that they are the guys who are responsible for putting the butter on my bread. Farkhan, that's all yours.
Thanks, Tanmay. Hi guys, I am Farkhanda and I head fundraising at IFF. I'll give you an overview of how fundraising has been at IFF in the past quarter, along with what we have been able to accomplish. And then I shall pass it on to the newest addition to the fundraising team, that is Mira, who's just joined us as the fundraising associate, and she'll take you over the way forward and what fundraising looks like at IFF in the months to come. So we'll first start with giving you a visual overview of the income and expenditure since the beginning of this financial year, that's April 2021. We recognize and appreciate the support we receive from our donors, and our commitment has always been to bring greater accountability and to ensure that our community knows how much of funds are being raised and how we are using them. And we hope to deliver on this constantly over time. So all our financial disclosures, detailed financial disclosures are available on our forum website and even on social media on a month-to-month basis. And as you can see in the graphs, it's the monthly breakdown of incoming donations and the expenditure at IFF since April 21. And you can see the current income is still not sufficient to meet our current expenses despite regular peaks. And we are working hard to ensure that we bridge the income expenditure gap, and we hope to reach this level of stability by mid next year. And this is only possible with your continued support. Now I'll move on to how IFF has grown in the past quarter. We have we witnessed a tremendous growth in the initial months. Our membership base grew to almost 420 recurring members, which is significant considering this is the most predictable stream of revenue for the organization, and we have always been dependent on this. But with the RBI regulations coming into effect in October 2021, I think it was 1st October 21, our membership numbers fell from 420 to 147, which is almost a 70% dip in our month-to-month income. And this put us in a very, very difficult spot at that point. And it seemed like all the work that had been put into making the model successful came crashing down. And it was something that was beyond our control. And at this point, we were only able to sustain our work because of the strong base of community that we've built over time. Our community stepped up and helped us reach a target of 30 lakhs. At that point, what we did was we launched a fundraiser to help us bridge the funding gap due to the loss of membership revenue. And we were able to raise 25 lakhs in less than 3 weeks of launching the fundraiser. And we are very, very grateful to all the support that we received from the entire IFF community at that point. And we intend to close the fundraiser by the end of the year, and hopefully we would have reached our goal by then. And along with this, I also want to say that IFF now has the capacity to be able to host fundraisers directly from the website. And this year, one of our very dear supporters, Krupa, huge shout out to Krupa, hosted a birthday fundraiser for us, and the amount raised was donated to the 30 lakh fundraiser to help with the membership drop-offs. So can we please change the slide? Okay, thank you. And while we are trying to cope up with the sudden drop in recurring memberships, at the same time, we are looking at more stable ways of conversion, since banks and payment processing platforms are not allowing for smooth conversion at this point. So right now we are looking at PaperNax, which can be used to process physical mandates, direct bank transfers, setting up SIs, and also looking at, this is an unexplored territory right now, but we're also looking at direct check transfers. And very, very recently, I think a week ago, the net banking option for signups also started working. So if your membership is in halted state at this point, please try signing up again. It would mean a lot to us. Along with this, we also want to update you on the institutional funding bit. Earlier during the year, we had mentioned that one of our main focus areas this year would be getting funding through philanthropies and institutions. We are proud to announce that we have been able to secure funding for a couple of our work areas through UNESCO and Tech for Dev through Dasra. So this has been one of our major accomplishments in the fundraising vertical. And then we move on to some of the successful collaborations, like the t-shirt launch with franklywearing.com and limited edition merch with No Gray Area. So yes, IFF has a t-shirt in collaboration with Sanitary Panels, that is Rachita, which you can directly get from the Frankly Wearing website, and all the proceeds will be donated to IFF. So please go ahead, get one for yourself if you don't have it already. Okay, so okay. I would like to end this on a positive note and want to thank all of you once again for stepping up in the time of need yet again. 2021 has definitely been one of our most impactful years. We were able to expand our team, raise more funds than we've ever in the past, and have had more impact than ever before. I will now pass it on to my colleague, Mira, who will update you on our plans ahead. Over to you, Mira.
Thanks, Rakanda. Hey everyone, I'm the latest addition to the fundraising team. I've been here for the past 3 months, and I can't say how thrilled I am to be working with some of the best minds in India. To begin with, we're still talking about adapting to the new RBI guidelines because while we've established some alternates to how we can overcome that, we are nowhere close to done. So we're still innovating and trying to establish other methods through which recurring payments can happen because recurring donations are still at the root of how we fundraise here at IFF. In fact, paper NACs are one of the options that are going to go live probably very soon, at least for a few tiers. And you would be hearing from us about various such models through which you can donate to us going forward as well, up until the time that our recurring donation system is completely optimized. So one of the things that we'll also be focusing on next year is acquisition of donors. At IFF here, we've almost always, acquired donors quite organically, and we've also had a good amount of dependence on our existing donors. But it's that time now for us to, kind of pull up our sleeves and look for various avenues through which we can acquire donors. Be it increase social media engagement or through partnerships, which is something that I'll actually elaborate upon slightly later during the presentation. So these are some of the things that we're looking at towards acquiring more donors and increasing our donor base. One of the things that can also be really, really helpful is to have our members talk about the work that we do. A lot of you already do actually, and a lot of the times we receive emails appreciating that the work that we do. It would be great that if you could also share our social media posts or talk about the work that interests you to whoever you think would be interested in the work that we do. Apart from this, we'll also focus on retention. Retaining our existing donors has also been a core part of the work that the fundraising team has been doing so far. And it's also something that we're really good at. We'd like to say that our retention rates are quite high, and we've managed to retain most members and donors since the time that we began fundraising. And the way that our community stepped up during the time that we launched the fundraiser is testament to the fact of how tight-knit our community is and how you guys have always had our backs. We will continue to engage our existing community through events that we will organize, our game nights, our merchandise kits that we would send out. We've also received a couple of suggestions through the blog survey form that we distributed on how better we can engage the community. And that's also something that we plan on picking up on in the coming months. And finally, partnerships. This is something that we haven't explored as much at IFF so far, but this is something that we've been venturing into primarily to build our brand image as well as to grow our donor base. This is a great way for us to reach new segments of people. Be it partnerships with corporate organizations, either it be CSR funding or payroll giving, or it could even be like an awareness session. So recently, we conducted an awareness session on how to report an instance of online violence, or even workshops on digital literacy are some of the things that we're looking at through which we can collaborate and partner with the right kinds of organizations to reach more people. And finally, we'd work on stabilizing our tech systems. So most of you would have written into us asking for whatever method through which you can donate or some issue that you're facing with. We want to let you know that we've read all of your emails, and most often than not, we respond to all of them. Sometimes we're not always able to give you a solution right away, primarily because of there is some instability in the tech systems that we have at the moment, but our primary focus will be on stabilizing them and ensuring that the process is seamless. We would first be focusing on building our website and creating a website that's more user-friendly and easy to navigate. It is also the first point of contact for anyone who is finding out about IFF initially, and we aim for our website to be to the point probably in the next few months. The other thing that we'd also be working on is trying to ensure that members are able to access their membership and try and raise requests and make sure that they're also automated, apart from ones that actually would need manual intervention. That is also something that Farkanda and I would be looking into in depth in the coming few months. So if anybody out there within the community can help us with this process, is great with tech, do reach out to us. You can always write to us at donate@internetfreedom.in, and we'd be happy to get in touch. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. So apart from members who are interested in the work that we do, if there's also someone who's building out similar systems and trying to test out various tech for your own organization, feel free to reach out to us on that as well. Farkanda and I are always open to sharing notes on all of the systems that we've built here and plan on building as well. Thank you. Over to you, Tanmay.
Thanks a lot, Mira. Guys, I think I must be honest. I think Farkanda and Mira have sort of like understated how difficult it was to tide over October 1. I mean, I remember October 1 when I spoke to Farkanda and Mira, they were distraught because of the new mandate and how difficult it had been. But immediately after that, they sort of rolled up their sleeves. They worked tirelessly. I mean, they became zombies. I mean, they were not human at that point. I remember thinking that they're so overworked. Have they become litigators overnight? But they did everything that was necessary to make sure that the work doesn't stop, that no brakes are put on the cars that keep running. They kept the lights on. And the only reason that they're smiling today on the 10th of December, 2.5 months after the 1st of October, is because of you guys. And I know that they've expressed their gratitude, but it is time to bring back that familiar theme of today, which is gratitude. So I'm really grateful. Many thanks for making sure that the lights stay on, making sure that we keep doing what we came to IFF to do. And with that vote of thanks, I'm going to move over to the glue that keeps IFF together, which is the operations team, the one-person team that has been keeping IFF running. Those gears actually are super appropriate. Keeping IFF running since the day IFF was born. Also my best friend, Shivani.
Thank you for that, Tanmay. You're very kind. Hi, everyone. I don't much look forward to Zoom calls, particularly the ones where I have to put a shirt on. Not my wife, but these calls always make me super happy. I think they're always a reminder of the kind of support IFF have always had from its community. And I am sure that we will continue to have. So thank you for showing up. And thank you for joining us for this call today. I am Shivani. I head operations and digital security for the Internet Freedom Foundation. And I'm going to talk about what not just the last quarter has been like, but what the entirety of 2021 has been like for operations and digital security at IFF. We'll start with operations. I think when we started this year out, I was very sure about a few things. Number one, that we were going to grow in size, because that was the plan, and thankfully we have grown in size. It's something that all my fellow colleagues have also mentioned over this call. And second, that as we grew in size, we wanted to make sure that our staff was happy working for IFF, that they had a healthy workplace to work at, and they look forward to coming to work every day, remotely and otherwise. So yes, when the pandemic started, we were a team of 5 members. We're now 11 full-time members and are hiring for 2 more positions currently. And the difference between managing a team of 5 people and a team of 11 to 12 is massive. So as we grew in size, we wanted to make sure that there were institutional measures in place that employees and staffers, even volunteers and interns could turn to if they wanted to seek redressal. And for this, we've adopted the POSH policy, which we adopted as soon as we reached the threshold of 10 staffers, as well as an anti-bullying policy to provide a wide range of options to people who are working with IFF. For our POSH policy, and I must mention this, we took the help of the brilliant folks at One Future Collective, who not only helped us draft the entire policy, explained the law to us, held workshops for our staffers to explain the law to us and how they can go about filing a complaint, gender sensitivity in the workshop and stuff like that. But they also made sure that our internal complaints committee was well trained to deal with these issues with the sensitivity and the objectivity that they require. So huge shout out to OFC for this. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them. Another part of my work that many people find quite drab is payroll, vendor management, accounts. How are you doing your compliances? And as a non-profit organization that has an ATG and 12A registration, we recognize the need to be extremely diligent when it comes to our accounts and financing systems, as well as our compliance and regulatory reports. And this year we took that a step further and we came up with a standardized finance manual to serve as a threshold for all finance and accounts related work at the Net Freedom Foundation. This ensures that we are doing our compliances in an absolutely safe manner. Everything turns out on time, and there are no issues with stuff like that, because this work often seems drab, but it's also one of the things that truly make or break organizations. And that is something that has been really important for us throughout this year and also in the next year. So that is what operations has been like. It's been a year of learning and growth. And hopefully next year will be even better and we'll be an even bigger team, fingers crossed. Coming to digital security, I also am building out the digital security vertical at IFF. Our goal from this is pretty straightforward. We want to bring digital security and we want to make digital security a part of the conversation when we are talking about digital rights. The people that we want to work with when it comes to working on digital security is of course those who are facing heightened risks of targeted surveillance. That can be members of civil society, lawyers, journalists, human rights defenders. A lot of my colleagues here have spoken a lot about the steps we are also taking to counter surveillance, such as the Pegasus reports that had come out a couple months ago. But another part of this is also making sure that people are also practically equipped to handle digital security threats. And that's precisely what we're trying to do. We don't just want to work with people who are facing risks of targeted surveillance, but also the general public at large, because we are leading digital lives and every person is facing cybersecurity incidents. And it's about time we talk about it. And it's about time we come to the 21st century and learn about these issues and the practices that make us more secure in our digital lives. So in order to do that, the last quarter has been a little bit of a milestone for digital security as well. We were able to conduct our first in-person digital security training with a group of people who had little to no knowledge about what it even means. And by the end of those 3 days, we were able to bring them on board with not just basic steps like two-factor authentication, but they were also able to send each other encrypted communications. And so that's the kind of focus we want to have when we're working with organizations and people. We were also able to standardize not just our training curriculum for our year-long trainings, but also shorter 2 to 3 day workshops for people who are just starting out their digital security journey, for organizations that just want to understand what it means to be secure in the digital world, and to get that going. I also must right now mention our excellent trainers, Saptak Sen Gupta and most recently Anoop, who are just extremely patient trainers of digital security and have been working on building this out with us for a while now. Our goal moving into next year is to do more of these in-person workshops as COVID-19 and its various variants ease down. That would truly be the way forward for us. And apart from that, I think in terms of my closing remarks, if you know of organizations or if you are an organization that is seeking digital security help, please reach out to IFF. We're building capacity and we're here to help organizations online and offline. And thank you for your support. Over to you, Dhanmay. Thank you.
Thanks, Shivani. As IFF grows in terms of how long we've been around, we move from a young organization, from a small organization. It's not time for questions and answers yet, actually. As we move to, having been in the space for a little while, I think it gives us a little bit of standing, but with great standing comes great responsibility. And one of the responsibilities is to pass over learnings to the next generation of lawyers, policy builders, civic literacy experts, and the like. So I do want to introduce our interns to you. We have Simrandeep Singh and Gyan Tripathi on board with us. One of the very, very, very minor advantages of the pandemic is that you get to have interns that can stay with you for a long time because they're not going physically to school. So we have Gyan and Simran with us for a while. I want them to introduce themselves. I don't know which one of you is going first, actually. Gyan or Simran, whichever it is, take it. It's yours. This is your opportunity.
Hello, everyone. I am Simrandeep. I am a law student and also a policy intern. Or as Tanmay likes to call me, the least important person in the room. I've been at IFF for about 2 months, during which I have assisted the policy team in managing RTI work and monitoring RTI responses. I have also assisted them in sending representations to various government departments and in policy outputs such as the legislative brief for the winter session, the connectivity tracker, RBI's account aggregator framework, among others. I have also assisted the litigation team in the numerous matters that they have been involved in, such as the internet shutdowns in Rajasthan. Other than that, I have also scanned a lot of documents and eaten a lot of Bengali sweets. Lastly, during my time here, I've been given the chance to learn and grow, but also a lot of agency to make decisions and take responsibility for my work. With that, I hand over to my fellow intern, Gyan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gyan Tripathi. I'm a policy intern with the organization. As part of my contributions here, I have assisted the policy team on several impactful outputs, such as the monthly transparency reports, comments on various consultations, such as the digital address code, and recently we're also working on the digital health retention policy. We've also made several representations to ministries and blog posts. Thank you. Over to you, Tanmay.
I just want to clarify for everybody that what Simran said was a joke. I have never called him the least important person in the room. I think he's one of the funniest guys that we have in the office, and the levity he brings is truly important for the sort of like sometimes dark and depressing work that we do. It is now time for the closing remarks from our executive director, Apar. Literally everybody knows Apar. He has a blue tick on Twitter, actually, so there's no reason for me to introduce him. But I will say that I have now been a lawyer for about 7.5 years or so. And every time I speak to Apar, I walk away having learned something new. So thanks, Apar. Please unmute.
Thank you so much, Tanmay. Just in terms of some short remarks I'd like to share is that as we look towards next year, we're thinking in terms of new frontiers of work that we can engage in. So quite often this will also include areas such as artificial intelligence, Web 3.0, etc., which are very much required. But quite often we are forgetting in this excitement around these new areas, around the metaverse, etc., all these conversations which are starting, that certain foundational issues remain unaddressed, which commences from accessibility, lack of connectivity, internet shutdowns, data protection where we don't have a law, and several other areas. Digitization, as Rohin has quite clearly spelled out, has also touched upon core areas of state activity: education, healthcare, agriculture, and providing an enabling basis for it. So our model of work will not only be in the traditional digital rights format, which will only focus on liberty, but will also focus on the other preambular values which are there, which include social justice, fraternity, and equality. So digitization alongside those preambular values will be a focus which will be there as we go forward in 2022 as well. So not only the new areas, but also areas where we have already noticed deficiencies, but much more work needs to be done, and that will be done. The second thing which I want to touch upon is that if you notice, when change happens through constituency building. When more people get involved in the work, become participants, owners, and become aware about that work. And the second part of that is that when people become aware of the work and they start taking ownership, they need to work towards these objectives which are identified over a period of time. Given that you're agitating for rights, there can be no clearer demonstration of that than the farmers' agitation, which has resulted in a policy breakthrough, which has been demanded by them. So growing that constituency and doing this work over a longer term is what has been our focus and will continue in 2022. Now, in terms of hiring, you have heard a lot that we are trying to set up an organization which is in specific verticals. We are also noticing that there's a need for much more senior staff to come in. So there's a greater degree of stability, consistency, and the organization can grow, and that will open over time. We've just opened up a position for a policy director, and this will show through in our impact of work, which is coming through very clearly. Finally, I'd just like to state that as 2021 ends, we can look back at this year also through posts which will be done towards the end of the year from each vertical, which will showcase the work all through the year and the impact it's had. Thank you so much for joining this members call. I'm looking forward to the interaction on the questions you have sent in advance or the questions you would also like to raise at present. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Apar. To say that IFF is my dream job would be a misstatement, because that would require me to be able to dream so big in the first place. We are now going to close the live stream so that we can move on to the interactive part. Now, we thought we would do this to make you feel a little bit more comfortable coming up to the front and asking us questions, etc. So Shivani, whenever you're ready, go ahead and do that.